One more thing we see in this passage is that Jesus disrupts. And so I go to my third point, disrupted by Jesus. And so it's been good news so far. You've seen a reversal in this man's circumstance. Somebody who was tormented by demons now has been liberated and rescued by Jesus. Somebody who was oppressed by the devil now is sitting down, clothed and in his right mind. And so we're expecting at this point that there will be a party. This is how the episode of this season, of this series, is meant to end. There's supposed to be a party and we end on a high note. Except no, it doesn't end on a high note. In verse 14, the village people arrive. I pray God delivers from village people in Jesus' name. Village people arrive in verse 14. They see this man clothed and in his right mind, and instead of being happy, they are not happy. We are told that they are afraid. But it's not just that they are afraid, they tell Jesus to leave their region in verse 17. This doesn't make any sense. This doesn't make any sense because we know in verses 2 to 5 that they have spent a lot of effort and possibly a lot of money buying shackles and buying chains, trying to cage this man up. And so if it is that we no longer have to be levying ourselves 100 naira every week to buy new chains for this guy, at least let us be happy. But somehow they are not happy. Why? Why is that the case? I think we have a clue in verse 16. In verse 16, it says that those who saw it, when they told the village people about it, they told them about the man who was delivered, but also about the pigs. And two things immediately become clear. One, these people realize we have lost the pigs. Now, I want you to be sympathetic to the people because that society was a largely agrarian society. 2,000 pigs meant that you had to employ a number of people to be herding the pigs and a number of people to be watching over the pigs. So possibly there will be people who are going to the pigs in the field. There are people at home who are making sure that the farm is well kept and all of those kind of things. So it was a lot of people that were employed. But it's not just that a lot of people were employed. Because people were employed, they were earning money, and so they were able to put back into the economy of the village where they were in. And so a lot of the stability of the economy of the village actually depended on these pigs being alive. And Jesus comes into that and disrupts that. It's like, no, Jesus, we don't like this. We don't like you coming in and upsetting our system. And one commentator has pointed out that it is not just that this man was possessed, it is also that this village and these people were possessed people. Because how else do you explain the fact that somebody has now been liberated and all we are thinking about is the pigs that we have lost? And in many ways, friends, I wonder what the pigs in your life are. What are those things that actually we love and don't want Jesus to displace? What are those things that we are happy for the circumstances in our lives to remain unchanged as long as those things remain there? These people realize we have lost the pigs. No, we don't like this. Jesus, please leave. But secondly, they also realize that Jesus is not somebody that can be controlled. Because at least we're buying chains for this guy, and so we'll tie him up and keep him in a place where he won't disturb us. Maybe occasionally if he was coming too close, we'll drive him out again. But we're happy with this. We could control him. But now Jesus comes in, he upstages things, and they realize that Jesus cannot be controlled. Jesus cannot fit into their agenda. They have to fit into his. And friends, it's the same thing with us, that Jesus is the Lord, the King, the deliverer, the ruler who comes in, but he doesn't come in to adjust himself to our agenda, to adjust himself to our priorities. He comes in so that we can adjust ourselves to his priorities. What are the things that are the pigs in your life this morning? What are the things you are worshiping in addition to Jesus? What are the things that you're happy to remain there in your life? Could it be your marriage or a longing for marriage that you've elevated to the point of being on the same pedestal as Jesus? Could it be your children? Could it be your economic and financial security? Could it be Jesus and your Japa plans? You see, our priorities are revealed not only by the things that we talk about, but by the things that we are also afraid of. What are the things that you're afraid of? See, the Bible calls that idolatry. And when we have things that we have esteemed in our hearts, when we have things that we have treasured so much in our hearts that they have risen to the place and prominence that Jesus is meant to have in our lives, we're now having a God who is competing with God himself. And so we have installed idols in our hearts. And in many ways, if you want to sum up not only what was wrong with the people in this passage, but what is wrong with humanity in general, it is that we have installed things, people, priorities, and all of those things to the same level as God. We have installed idols. But you see, like someone said, if Jesus is not Lord of all in our lives, if Jesus is not Lord over all in our lives, then he is not Lord at all. And what is meant to happen to people who install things in the same level as God is what happens to the villagers here, for God's presence not to be part of them. Eternally, what that means is that we spend an eternity away from God, away from his presence, away from his comfort, away from his joy in the lake of fire and brimstone, in hell, apart from him. But because God is so merciful, he sends Jesus Christ as the one who displaces our idolatry, but who also serves the punishment for idolatry. And so just like the pigs ran over the edge, Jesus is the one who runs over the edge to suffer the fate that we are meant to have suffered so that we can enjoy a right relationship with him. What are the idols in your life, friends, this morning? What are the things that... Don't be like the people experiencing the freedom and fullness that Jesus offers. Don't be like the people in this passage. Be like the man who welcomes Jesus and follows Jesus all the way.